Welcome to Aspira Rise, the place where language meets growth. I'm your host, and I'm so glad you're here to take another step toward mastering English. Our mission here is simple: to help you aspire for more and rise to your full potential through immersive, real-world English conversations. Before we dive into today's topic, if you're looking to level up your fluency, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you never miss a lesson. If you find today's episode helpful, please give us a like and drop a comment below. We love hearing about your learning journey, and it truly helps our community grow. Now let's get started with today's episode.
You know, there's this vintage clip art image that just sort of lives in the back of my mind. I think we all have it.
Oh, yeah.
It's from like the 1950s. You graduate, you put on a suit that's maybe a little too big for you, you shake hands with the hiring manager, and you step onto the bottom rung of a ladder.
And that's it.
That's it. You just climb, you stare at the heels of the person above you for 40 years, you keep your head down, maybe you get a gold watch, a sheet cake at the end, and then you retire to play golf. It's the American Dream version 1.0.
Right.
But looking at this massive stack of research we have in front of us today, I think we have to call it that ladder. It's officially firewood. As of 2026, that model isn't just tired, it's dead.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's been decomposing for a while, but what we're seeing in this specific set of data is a complete structural shift.
A structural shift.
We aren't just talking about the gig economy or, people job hopping every 2 years. We are talking about a fundamental change in the geometry of a career.
Geometry. Okay, I didn't realize there would be math today, but let's unpack that.
Yeah.
Because usually, when I think of careers, I think of a straight line. Up and to the right. Linear. But the sources we're diving into today, specifically this deep dive on career transitions, they suggest we need to stop thinking vertical and start thinking, well, flexible.
Exactly. The central theme here is the shift from the career ladder to the career path. And I know that sounds like a bit of corporate jargon, but the distinction is actually crucial to understanding how to survive in this economy.
How so?
Well, a ladder creates this binary state. You are either moving up or you are stuck. It's rigid. A path is winding. It changes direction based on the terrain. It allows for exploration.
Okay.
The goal today is to look at how modern careers in 2026 are built on this idea of winding progression rather than that straight, breathless climb to the C-suite.
I actually find that incredibly relieving.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off this idea that if you aren't being promoted every 18 months, you're somehow failing.
It does.
We have some really dense source material today focusing on the mechanics of this. We're looking at texts that cover career transitions, the psychology behind changing jobs, which is a massive mental hurdle, and the strategic use of side hustles.
And what stands out to me in these texts is the vocabulary shift. It's not just about finding a new job, it's about a total shift in mindset. We're seeing terms like pivoting, transferable skills, and diversification taking the place of promotion and tenure.
Right.
This is about professional growth, yes, but it's really about safety. It's about building a career that is robust enough to handle a world where AI and automation are constantly shifting the ground under our feet.
So let's get into the mechanics of this career path concept. The source material makes a really bold distinction between the ladder and the path. We've touched on the winding nature of it, but what does that actually look like in practice? Because a winding path sounds nice, but it also sounds a little like getting lost in the woods.
It can feel like that if you don't have a compass. But think about the ladder again. In the old model, if you were an accountant, your identity was fixed. You were an accountant until you became a senior accountant and then a manager of accountants. Your entire value was tied to that one vertical.
Yeah, that was your whole identity.
Exactly. But the career path concept acknowledges that your interests, and more importantly, the market's needs, they evolve. The source highlights that a path is intentional. It's not wandering aimlessly, it's choosing to turn left or right, because that's where the opportunity is.
That brings us to a word that was highlighted, heavily in the source material. Pivot. Now, I hear this word constantly in startup culture. Companies pivot all the time. But here, they're applying it to individuals.
And the semantics really, really matter here. Think about the difference in how this sounds, just to your own ears or to a hiring manager. If you're at a dinner party and you say, I'm quitting my job to try something else, how does that land?
It sounds risky. It sounds emotional. Honestly, it sounds like you rage quit because your boss stole your lunch or something.
Or you're having a midlife crisis.
Right, and buying a motorcycle.
Precisely. It sounds chaotic. But if you say, I am pivoting from finance into the tech industry, that lands completely differently.
It sounds so much more professional.
It does. The source notes that pivoting implies turning or changing direction while keeping one foot planted. You're keeping your momentum. It sounds professional, strategic, and intentional. It signals that you are in control of the journey.
I like the basketball analogy there. You keep one foot planted, your experience, and you move the other foot to a new spot to get a better shot.
That's a great way to put it.
Which actually leads perfectly to the next big concept from the text, transferable skills. Because if you're pivoting, and not just starting over, you have to take something with you. You aren't showing up empty-handed.
This is the foot you keep planted. Transferable skills are those abilities you take from one role to another, regardless of the industry. And this is where people get tripped up. They think, well, I don't have tech skills, so I can't work in tech.
Yeah, that's a huge barrier.
But the source gives this fantastic example that I think just breaks this down beautifully. It talks about a teacher moving into project management.
On the surface, those feel like totally different universes. One is grading papers and dealing with, I don't know, glue sticks. The other is spreadsheets, JIRA tickets, and deadlines.
But look closer at the actual cognitive load of those jobs. The source explicitly mentions things like public speaking and patience. But let's go deeper. A teacher spends all day breaking down complex concepts for an audience that might not want to hear them.
Okay, right.
That is high-level stakeholder management and communication strategy. They handle conflicts between students, that's HR and mediation. They manage strict schedules and adapt to chaos when the fire alarm goes off.
Oh, wow. Put that way, a classroom is basically just a very high-stress, agile project management environment.
Okay, it really is. And that's the key to the career path. You aren't throwing away your past experience, you are translating it. You're saying, I have these skills and they apply here too. It's about recognizing your value isn't tied to your job title.
It's a rebranding exercise, essentially. You're taking the same product and just marketing it to a different demographic.
That's it.
Okay, so let's say you have the mindset. You're ready to pivot. We need to talk about the other side of this 2026 career coin, the side hustle. Now, I feel like for the last decade, side hustle has been co-opted. It just meant driving a ride share or delivering groceries.
You're right, a survival mechanism.
Exactly. But the source material suggests something different is happening now.
Yes, the definition has evolved significantly. The expert in the text makes a crucial distinction. In today's economy, a side hustle isn't just about extra cash, though. With inflation, that's obviously still a factor.
Sure.
It serves two other critical purposes: skill building and income diversification.
Skill building is the interesting one to me. It's almost like you're paying yourself to go to grad school, but instead of paying tuition, you're earning a little bit while you learn.
That's the perfect analogy. It's a sandbox. If you want to pivot into tech, you don't have to quit your job and just hope for the best. You start a side hustle that forces you to learn those skills.
And the source lists some very specific types of hustles that are popular in 2026, and they are pretty technical.
They are.
Yeah, let's run through those because I think the specificity helps here. The first one was freelancing, but they didn't just say data entry. They specifically mentioned MERN stack development, graphic design, and content writing on platforms like Upwork.
Right. And for anyone listening who isn't a coder, MERN stack is a big one to highlight. It stands for MongoDB, Express, React, and Node.js. It's basically a full JavaScript stack for building web applications.
Why that specific stack, though? Why not just learn to code? That seems to be the generic advice.
Because it's efficient. It allows you to build the front end, what users see, and the back end, where the data lives, all using one language, JavaScript. So if you are an accountant who wants to become a coder, you don't just quit. You learn the MERN stack on the weekends, you build a simple app, you take a few small freelance gigs.
You building the portfolio?
You are building the portfolio and proving you can do the work before you ever make the leap.
That makes so much sense. It lowers the barrier to entry.
Ah.
All right, and then there's the one that everyone dreams about, digital products.
Yeah.
The source described this as earning money while you sleep, which, let's be honest, is the ultimate goal.
Of course.
But is it really that easy?
It's not easy, but it is scalable. This includes things like ebooks, templates, online courses. The fascinating thing here is the leverage. If you create a really good Notion template for, say, organizing a marketing calendar, you build it once. It might take you 20 hours,
Okay.
but then you can sell it 1,000 times. It separates your time from your income.
Right. In a normal job, you get paid for your time. With digital products, you get paid for your output.
It's front-loaded effort for potential long-term reward.
And the third one mentioned was UGC, or user-generated content.
Yeah.
Now, is this just being an influencer? Because I don't think everyone is cut out to dance on camera.
No, it's different, and the distinction is important. Influencers are the brand. They need followers. UGC creators are basically freelancers who create content for a brand's channel.
Oh.
You don't need 1 million followers, you just need to be good at making videos that convert. It's a legitimate marketing service, not a vanity project.
Okay, so we have the hustle. We're building skills. But here is where the source material threw me a total curveball. There was a section called the interview hack.
Oh, I love this part. It completely flips the script.
Right, because conventional wisdom has always been hide your side hustle.
Yeah.
You don't want your boss to think you're distracted or running a business on company time. But the source says in 2026, you should mention it.
You absolutely should, but with a caveat. You have to frame it correctly. You don't say, I'm doing this because I hate this job and I want to leave.
Right, bad move.
You say, I have this side project and it has made me incredibly resourceful.
Resourceful, that's the key word the sources kept coming back to.
It is. Think about what a side hustle actually teaches you. You have to manage your time without a boss watching you. You have to learn marketing. You have to handle customer support.
All of it.
All of it. If I'm a hiring manager and you tell me you built a successful e-commerce store on the weekends, I'm not thinking distraction. I'm thinking, this person is a self-starter. They understand the full business cycle.
So it's not, I have a distraction. It's, I have proof that I can execute.
Exactly. In a world where companies are obsessed with agile employees, proving you can build something from scratch with no resources is a massive competitive advantage. It differentiates you.
That is such a smart reframe. It turns what feels like a secret into a superpower. Okay, so we know what we want to do. We want to pivot. We want to hustle.
Yeah.
But then, reality hits. And the source material brings up a very real emotional barrier that I think stops 90% of people.
Fear.
Fear. Specifically, the fear of starting from zero.
It's the paralyzing thought that keeps people in jobs they despise for decades. You look at your current role, maybe you're a mid-level manager, you have respect, you know all the acronyms, and you think, if I leave this ladder where I'm on rung 20, I have to go to the bottom of the new ladder.
It feels like a demotion. It feels like a loss of status. It feels like you wasted the last 10 years of your life.
But the expert in the source debunks this so beautifully. They reiterate a core message. You are never starting from zero. You are starting from experience.
I love that line. It goes back to the transferable skills, right?
Yeah.
You aren't a blank slate.
Correct. You are a veteran of the workforce who is just applying their skills in a new context. You know how to send an email that doesn't sound aggressive. You know how to read a room. The 22-year-old entering the industry doesn't know those things. That's your advantage.
Okay.
But even with that mindset, you need a strategy. You can't just operate on positive vibes. And this is where the text introduces the bridge strategy.
The bridge. This sounds much safer than the leap. We always hear take the leap, which sounds terrifying.
The leap is bad advice for most people. The bridge is actionable. The rule's simple. Don't quit tomorrow. Use the side hustle as a bridge to get you from point A to point B.
So what's the commitment?
The source is very specific. It suggests spending 5 to 10 hours a week.
5 to 10 hours. That's manageable. I mean, if we are honest, that's a Netflix binge. Or scrolling social media.
Exactly. It's 1 hour a night and a Saturday morning. The text specifically mentions using that time to build your new brand or learn a new language, and they explicitly drop Java or Python as examples, reinforcing that tech skills are often the currency here.
And you do this while you retain the steady paycheck.
That's the bridge. The paycheck is the foundation that holds you up while you build the path to the other side. You don't burn the bridge until you've already crossed it.
And there's a checkpoint on this bridge, right? There's this concept I really appreciated in the text. Checking if a path is viable.
Yes. Viable. That's a good business term.
So what does it mean in this context?
It means asking the hard question. Is this capable of working successfully? Before you make the full jump, you need to know if the numbers work. Is your side hustle generating enough income to cover your rent? Is the market for your new skill actually there?
Right.
The bridge allows you to test viability without the risk of starvation.
Right. If you try to sell ebooks and nobody buys them, and you still have your job, well, you learned a lesson for free. If you quit your job first, that lesson is very expensive.
It turns a career change from a gamble into a controlled experiment. But, and here's the big but, doing 2 jobs at once. That is physically and mentally taxing.
Yeah, I was going to say, we are only human. Working a 40-hour week and then grinding for another 10 or 15 hours, that sounds like a recipe for disaster.
This brings us to the warning label on the bottle. The source explicitly warns about burnout.
The danger zone.
It is very real. Balancing a 9 to 5 with a side hustle taxes your executive function. You are constantly switching contexts. The text emphasizes the importance of pacing yourself. You cannot run at 110% capacity forever.
So the bridge is meant to be temporary.
It has to be. It's a sprint to get to the other side, not a permanent lifestyle of working 80 hours a week.
So you have to be disciplined about rest, just as much as you are about the work.
And you have to set a timeline. If you are on the bridge for 3 years, you aren't transitioning. You're just overworked.
That is a crucial distinction. It's a phase, not a lifestyle. This has been such a refreshing look at careers. It really dismantled that old ladder anxiety. Before we wrap up, though, the source material had this really cool listener challenge. They call it the RISE Challenge.
I agree. It's a great exercise.
I think we should pass it on to our listener right now.
Let's do it. It moves this from theory to action.
Okay, so here it is. The challenge is to identify just one transferable skill you have right now. Not one you want to learn, but one you already have in your pocket. And the format is to fill in the blank. My transferable skill is skill, and I can use it to new goal.
I'll give the example from the text again because it's so clear. My transferable skill is problem solving, and I can use it to become a software developer.
Simple, but powerful. It forces you to connect the dots. It forces you to validate your own experience.
It does. And if we summarize what we've discussed today, the career ladder is gone. It's a path now. Fear is the enemy, but experience is your weapon. And the side hustle. That's not just for extra cash. It's the bridge to your next chapter.
And as we close out, I know you always like to leave us with something to chew on. What's a final thought for this deep dive?
Well, thinking about the bridge strategy triggered a thought for me. We often define ourselves by our current job. We say, I'm an accountant or I am a teacher. But if you adopt this mindset that your current role is just the bridge or the funding for your future career, how does that change the way you show up to work tomorrow morning?
I like where you're going with this.
Think about it. If you look at your employer not as your boss, but as the angel investor who is funding your startup, which is your life, does that change your attitude?
Ooh, that is a game changer. Suddenly, the annoying emails aren't personal attacks. They're just the cost of doing business. You aren't stuck. You're just gathering capital.
Exactly. You are extracting value to build something better.
I love that. It gives you the power back. Well, listener, keep that in mind as you head into your week. You aren't just an employee. You're the CEO of your own career path. Keep aspiring, keep rising, and thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.